As a company, you've been thinking about digitization, but you've been wondering where to start. You've done your research, you've talked with people who've done it, you've benchmarked, but you still do not know where to start. And today I'm going to take you through the steps that can give you direction on where to start and why to start. And I hope it will make it easier for you to start this process. First, you might be wondering, why digitization? In this era of technology, I don't see why you should be still having your documents in the paper format, because it makes work more difficult for you. It takes a lot of space to store your documents, and so many other inconveniences like losing documents or misplacing documents, and many other things that are causing commotion in the office because a document cannot be found, or somebody is going for a meeting and they are not able to find a document. So I would advise you to digitize your documents, and this would make it very easy for you to manage your documents within the company. And specifically, if you put it in a central repository, then this one will ensure the company has a single source of truth. They'll be communicating in the same language, and all the departments are able to communicate very easily without any obstacles or any roadblocks blocking them from working together. So number one, what you have to look at before you digitize is, what is your objective? What is your objective for digitizing? This one will give you direction on where you want to go to from the zero space. And I believe if you've been having computers in your office, highly likely you also have digital documents that are scattered in all the individual computers within the office. So how do you ensure that all these documents are together? So one, you will look at the objective. Why do you want to digitize? Do you want to digitize just to have them stored, to use them as a knowledge base, or just to store them so that they are accessible by any other person? This will determine the process of the digitization. And then you might also want to digitize, to extract the data from these documents so that you can use them for analysis or for gathering insights, which will help you on a way forward for your company. And then also you might want to integrate it into your workflows to ensure that whenever you are working, if you have an ERP, you are able to use them as you are working in your everyday tasks, everyday processes, everyday workflows within the company. So after knowing what your objective is, then now you can start. But the biggest thing here is usually the budget. You have to set aside a budget, and this is number one after knowing your objective. So this is number one on how to start your digitization process. You set a budget. When you set the budget, will ensure that this will ensure that whatever the company is going to use on digitization will not affect the everyday running of the company. And also when you're digitizing, it will ensure that you work within your budget. So setting a budget initially helps you on how to go about it. Sometimes it might not be enough for the initial process. This means you can do it in piecemeals so that you do not exceed your budget, so that it does not affect you in the long run. You can do it systematically until the time when it's done. You can start with the current documents going backwards, or you can start with the old documents coming forward, and you do it systematically. But if your budget can manage, you can do the whole process and complete it so that you forget about it. So setting a budget is very crucial before you move to the next step. which is now you audit your documents. When you audit your documents, this will save you from unnecessary expenses, because you find that as the office is running the document, sometimes you have duplicates, you have drafts, you have documents that are not necessary at all. So by auditing, you are able to remove the documents that are not necessary to ensure that you don't spend on unnecessary documents. So when you do the audit, you are able to, and this includes both the digital documents and the paper documents. You audit and ensure that you have the necessary documents in place. This will also help you in determining your retention period. How can you have a retention policy in place? So with this, you are able to realign your document to make your process flow and ensure and make sure it's faster. The process is faster so that you don't meet with obstacles along the way. And then after doing the audit, you prepare the physical documents. This only applies to paper documents, whereby you have to sort the documents, you have to repair the old documents that are worn out, separate the sensitive documents from the other documents so that they'll be done separately and they are not messed up. The old and torn documents are repaired. The ones with binders, they remove the binders. The ones in the files, you ensure that they are aligned to ensure that they are systematic in the file to avoid errors and to make the process more efficient. So after preparing your physical documents, this one you move to the equipment selection. The equipment selection, this involves the scanners. Depending on your documents, you'll determine depending on the document format and the document type will determine the kind of scanner you will use. So if the documents are fragile, you'll have to use a flatbed scanner. So there are different types of scanners. There's the digital scanner, which is a high-speed scanner. This one will ensure your process is fast. There's the flatbed scanner. These are for sensitive or high resolution documents. Then we have the microfilm if you have microfilms. And then you also have the book scanners, and these are for scanning of books. So the type of equipment you select will depend on the type of documents you need to scan. So if you want the process to be faster, you can use the high-speed scanner. The high-speed scanner will speed up the process, but you ensure you take care of the documents so they are not torn. But this one, the speed will be more. The documents, the process will be faster. So after selecting the equipment, depending on how this one will be determined by, if you are doing it slowly, then you don't need much equipment, which you can hire, or you can hire if you don't use an outsourced provider. So you can hire and use, depending on how fast you want the process to go. You will need more scanners if you want the process to be faster. You'll use less scanners when you want the process to be you want to take your time to do the scanning. And also, don't forget the people that will stop doing their work just to come and handle this process. So you have to ensure that there are people whom you'll move from whatever work they've been doing to come and handle the scanning process for you, unless you want to outsource to providers like Card Tech Services Limited. But if you don't want to outsource, you can select a few staff in your workplace and take them through the handling of the scanner, and then they can do the work for you. And then after selecting the equipment, you have to select the storage. How do you want to store your document? This one is determined by the size of the company. It might be just a few people, less than 5 people in the company, or it might be a company with many branches, and that is now a big company. This will determine the kind of storage you want to use. If you are one person, you can use Google Drive, the cloud storage, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive to store your documents, as long as you've arranged them in folders that will make it easier for you to access. It will make your work easier. But if it's a company that has many branches, a big company might need an EDMS. This one has many features. It has a central repository. Everything can be automated, from the audit trail to the versioning, to the extraction through the OCR is enabled in an electronic document management system. Though this is very expensive, so this one would work for enterprises. But you can also get a proprietary EDMS and customize it to your needs. This would be manageable for medium-sized companies or small companies who really want everything to be automated. So you can get the proprietary EDMS, but now you have to customize it to your needs. And this will make your work easier when it comes to your document, because there'll be one central repository. And this will ensure you can actually integrate it with your ERP and your other softwares, maybe QuickBooks for accounting software, or human resource software. And when they're integrated, they can work together to make the workflow of your company flow. And then after selecting the storage, you can start with a pilot. This one is to ensure that the people who've been allocated these duties, understand how the process is supposed to move on, how they are going to digitize these documents, how they are going to scan, how they are going to index, how they are going to store them, how the naming convention. This one, so that when you are sure with the piloting that everything is at par, then now you can go through the whole process. And this will make it very easy for you to go through your digitization process. But if you find it a bit hard for you to go through this process, you can always reach out to us at Tech Services Limited, and we'll help you through the process. Either we can support you as you're doing it, or we can do it for you altogether. So if you want to start your digitization process, you can always reach out to us. And if you want to learn more on this process so that you reach that paperless space, kindly subscribe to our channel so that you can learn more. And if you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section below.